All right, let's evaluate a kind of difficult looking function at some different given values. So in doing this, I'm going to do 2, -8, 1/11th, and then down below here we'll work -1/5. Each one successfully getting a little bit more difficult. So in doing so, it shouldn't be too bad in getting started. What we want to do is, when we're trying to evaluate p of 2, we're going to replace each of the t's in our problem with 2's. So that'll give us 2 over 2 plus 1, and then that -1 comes along. First operation we're going to do next is we're going to do the 2 plus 1 in our denominator to give us a 3. So 2/3 minus 1. To combine this fraction with the integer, we want to rewrite the 1 so it has that common denominator. So we want to have a 3 as our common denominator. So I'm going to strategically rewrite our 1 as 3 over 3. To combine these together, we're going to keep the common denominator, the 3 comes along, and then combine the numerators. So 2 minus 3 makes -1. So -1/3 is going to be our solution. Next, let's do the same thing, but now with a -8. So first, replace each of the t's with -8s. Next, go ahead and simplify our denominator. So we have -8 plus 1 makes -7. And I'm going to go ahead and strategically rewrite that 1 as -7 over -7. So it has that common denominator. Next, we keep our common denominator and combine our numerators. Now on this one, it's going to be -8 minus a -7. So we want to think of that as an addition going on between those two. So -8 plus 7, the double negative, makes addition. So -8 plus 7 makes -1 divided by -7. And from here, we can simplify just a little bit more because we have a negative divided by another negative. Overall makes a positive, so +1/7. All right, the difficulty keeps getting a little bit worse and a little bit worse. All right, next thing we're going to do is replace each of our t's with 1/11th. So 1/11th up in the numerator, and then 1/11th plus 1 in our denominator. Okay, from here, the simplifying down is going to be similar to what we've seen, but a little bit more difficult. I'm first going to go ahead and try to combine the 1/11th plus 1 in the denominator. So I'm going to think of that as 1/11th plus 11 over 11, rewriting the 1 so it has that common denominator, minus a 1. So 1/11th over 12/11ths minus a 1. But now we've run into the situation where we have one fraction divided by another fraction. While there are a couple different ways we could approach this, what I'm going to do is the dividing by 11 in those little fractions seems to be the big problem. So I would like to do the inverse operation of that and multiply by 11. And we can do that if we multiply both the numerator and the denominator by 11. That's like multiplying the whole fraction by 1 because 11 over 11 is equivalent to 1. All right, next we can multiplying and dividing by 11. We'll cancel each other out and we're going to be left with 1 over multiplying by 11 and dividing by 11 also makes a 1, so we're going to be left with 12, minus, I'm going to strategically write that 1 off to the side as 12 over 12, so we have a common denominator. And then we'll finish this up by keeping our common denominator and combining our numerators. So 1 minus 12 makes -11. That's the best final answer we can come to on that one. Finally, I've brought down the exact same function, but we're going to try to evaluate this at -1/5. So kind of the same process. We're going to replace -1/5 in it for each of the t's. Next, I'm going to go ahead and try to get a common denominator in our big denominator there at the very bottom. So -1/5 divided by -1/5 plus 5 over 5, rewriting the 1, minus 1, off to the side. It's going to be -1/5 over, we keep the common denominator and combine our numerators. So -1 plus 5 makes 4, with that minus 1 off to the side. Again, we have a fraction divided by another fraction. Let's simplify this by multiplying by 5 over 5. Multiplying and dividing by 5, we'll get to cancel. And we get -1 over multiplying and dividing by 5 again gets to cancel, and we're going to be left with that 4. Minus, rewriting the 1 strategically so we have a common denominator. So 4 over 4 replaces that 1. keep the common denominator, combine the numerators together. So -1 minus 4 more makes -5, and that's the very best solution we can get to on this. All right, hope this helps out as you're working on evaluating kind of difficult rational functions by substituting in fractions. Good luck.